Hi viewers, welcome to another episode of my pregnancy series. My name is Peace Amewowo. This channel is Married with a Life, Moala. If you are single and you would like to benefit from my other ministry, you can follow Single with a Life, SWAL. I am exactly 28 weeks and 1 day pregnant. So that means that I have come to the end of my second trimester and it's now in my third trimester. Praise the Lord. I'm almost there. Anyway, so I'm going to share with you some of the challenges that I had between week 14 and week 28 and the way I dealt with them. Hopefully that should be able to help those of you who are currently pregnant with some ideas if you should experience some of the things that I experienced. And if you are single, it's a bonus because it means that you are prepared in advance. Hopefully you shouldn't go through some of those challenges that I went through, but just in case it happens that you experiences them, at least you can have some ideas and solutions to be able to handle them properly. Before I go into details of the second trimester, I'm going to show you my 28 weeks baby bump or pregnancy belly. Okay, so let's get into the details of the second trimester. First of all, when I compare the first and the second trimester, I would say that the second trimester is far better energy-wise. Almost all the symptoms that I had in the first trimester, which made me very sick and unable to do much, disappeared. And the big one was nausea. So I no longer felt nauseous. This means that I could eat any food that I liked without vomiting or feeling sick. The intense hunger also stopped, which means that my usual pattern of eating 3 times a day came back to normal. The almighty excessive salivation also stopped. So this one was an interesting one because I was spitting a lot. From week 14, I noticed that it started going down gradually and it improved in week 18. It went down drastically. But then there were some food that when I eat, it comes back. So I was wondering, is this thing going to go away or is it going to carry on throughout the pregnancy? But by the grace of God, by the time I go to the 20th week, there was a massive change. And by week 22, the spitting completely stopped. Even though most of the first trimester symptoms disappeared, some actually remained and became intensified. New symptoms also developed. So I'm going to literally touch on some of those symptoms that remain and the new ones and how I handle them. So the first one was tiredness, which I had during the first trimester, but this time around it was coupled with breathlessness. I was so breathless. When I'm talking faster and longer, I can't breathe. Any little thing I do, I can't breathe. I literally have to lie down and catch my breath. So I was thinking, could it be because maybe my iron content is low? So I had to go to the GP, that's the doctors, for them to do a blood test on me. And the result came back that my iron content was okay. I'm not anemic. But then the doctor said, you know what, let me refer you to the bigger hospital for them to check your heart and see if everything is fine. But he made mention that, you know, breathlessness and tiredness is part of pregnancy, but he just wanted for us to be on the safe side because of the frequency that I was feeling it. So I went to the hospital, they did the ECG tests and everything was fine. So then it was a thing of, it's just the pregnancy that is making me feel that way. So the question now was, what can I do to make sure that I feel better and be able to carry on with my normal day-to-day activities. So again, I took life very easy. I tried not to do things that will make me feel tired. So any heavy stuff that needed to be lifted in the house, I will call upon my husband to help me do that. I also drink a lot of water to keep me hydrated. I slowed down on exercises because I used to go out and walk when I started feeling better. Because there were days that immediately I start working and I start talking, I literally feel like I'm being suffocated. So I took a lot of time off from work just to rest and get myself back before doing anything intensive. One of the new symptoms that appeared was that my stomach started feeling stretchy and itchy. So physically, I could feel that my tummy is expanding. And I believe this is because, of course, the baby is growing. So my womb is expanding. And so I was feeling the physical effect of this. With this, there was nothing much that I could do because I couldn't control it. So when it's itching, I just scratch it. I scratch my belly and then I put anointing oil to rub my belly. And that makes me feel a bit comfortable. One big challenge that I had during the second trimester is the occurrence of waist pain. Literally, this started when my stomach started expanding. The weight of the baby bump started being felt around my waist and my abdomen. So when I'm walking, I could literally feel as if I'm carrying something on my waist. And so it's as if I'm walking with my waist. I don't know how best to put it, but the weight was so concentrated there and it was painful. So it made my walking to become irregular or abnormal. I have to open my legs a bit when I'm walking just to keep me well balanced. This pain became worse when I stand or sit or lie down for too long. Night times were even worse because it meant that I couldn't sleep, and especially because I have to lie side by side, turning from one side to the other became a challenge. And so sometimes I have to sit up a bit just to rest my back and then go back to bed. But I noticed that when the pain is very, very bad, even when I'm lying down, I still feel the pain. So this was a real challenge. I couldn't sleep most of the time in the night. And when I managed to come out of bed, I would be limping because my waist locks. It becomes so painful. So I was walking like an old woman, literally. There were a few times that, when the waist pain is very bad, my husband would suggest for me to use this gel. It's called Deep Freeze. But because of the hotness of it, the sensation is so hot. So I normally would say, let me just pull through it. But there was this particular night that the waist pain was so bad that literally I was groaning in pain. And I was like, it was left with crying that I didn't do. So my husband woke up and he was like, what's the problem? I said, I can't sleep, my back, my waist. And he said, you know what? I know you don't like this deep freeze, but I'm sorry, I'm going to have to use it for you. So I managed to come out of the bed, sit up, and then he applied the deep freeze all over my back, just massage my back with it and my waist with it. Okay, so there is deep heat, but this one is deep freeze. Okay, so we use this just a little and I managed to sleep that night. So in the morning, thankfully, I had my midwife appointment that day. So when I went to the midwife, she asked me how things were going. I told her that I'm really struggling with waist pain. So she suggested that I should take paracetamol. And paracetamol is something that the first trimester it was not recommended at all. No matter how I was feeling, they were not willing to give me any medication. There was this one time they gave me an anti-sickness medicine, which even made my situation worse. I was just sleeping and feeling more sick. So that was the only time they gave me medication. But this time around, she said, anytime you feel the waist pain, take the paracetamol. I told her that normally when I go out and walk, then I feel the weight around my waist. And she said, you know what? You still need to do your exercises, but make sure that after the exercises, you have enough stretches to relax your muscle. Another solution to the waist pain is I try not to sit, stand, or walk for more than 1 hour. So even when I am able to go out and walk, I try to do it within 30 minutes to 45 minutes, or maximum 1 hour. I'll be back home. And even at work, once it's getting to 1 hour of me sitting, I will just take some time off and walk around a bit before going back to work. Most of the time, even when I cook, I try to leave the kitchen, sit down for a bit, go back to the kitchen. So I was just in and out like that. And there were days that by the time I finished cooking, I was so tired that I had to leave everything in the kitchen. We usually don't leave plates in the kitchen sink, but you know, when I do those massive cooking, I just say, you know what, let me rest my back. The next day, I'll take the time and then try and then clean up. I also noticed that as my belly is growing, assuming I've sat down for a long time and I'm standing up and I do it abruptly, I feel this sharp pain in my abdomen. So this is just a word of caution. If you are in your second trimester or even in your third trimester, just make sure that anytime you are coming out of bed or you've sat down and trying to stand, do it gently. Okay, do it gently to avoid any pain in your abdomen. Another weird pregnancy symptom that I had in the second trimester was what I later found out that is called restless leg syndrome. Apparently, it can be a very serious medical condition in pregnancy. And there are some people who may not even be pregnant, but they are going through it. And with mine, what I felt was this weird sensation. It's like this uncomfortable sensation in my legs, and that's in the night. Okay, so when I'm sleeping, I feel like I need to raise my leg for me to be comfortable, or I need to hang my leg somewhere to be comfortable. So normally what I do is I put my leg on my husband just to keep me on that balance a bit, and then once I feel a little bit comfortable, I'll take off my leg. But later on, I was advised by the midwife that I should put pillows, maybe one pillow in between my legs. Even though the pillow or even putting my leg on my husband has not completely solved the issue, it's much better. I tried to go on the internet, on YouTube, to listen to those who have had this particular symptoms and how they deal with it. And I realized that the way their description of what they feel is a bit different from what I'm feeling. So I'm not really sure whether mine is restless leg syndrome or it's just a milder aspect of it. Also, from week 22 into week 25, I noticed that I've become very hot during the night. And interestingly, we are in winter. It's even snowing. But no matter how cold the room is, it gets so hot. My husband turns on the heating. I'm like, please, I beg you. I can't sleep. And it's like, please, it's cold. I said, yes, I know, but I just can't sleep. So literally, sometimes I have to compromise. The heating comes on for a bit and then we take it off. But it's just, I believe, probably just something that I have to cope with throughout the pregnancy. Thank God we are almost getting to the finishing line. So yeah, Grace to me, grace to me. Okay, so this pregnancy symptom was actually carry over from the first trimester, and that is the frequent urination. But this time around, it's actually become intense because within an hour, I can visit the loo like 6 to 10 times within an hour. And in the night, I'll wake up at least 6 times to use the toilet. So you can imagine I can't sleep in the night, because once I feel like, yeah, I'm sleeping a bit, then I start feeling like going to use the toilet. So it's just up and down, up and down. It's like the bathroom is now my most visited place in this house. And this has affected even the amount of toilet roll that is used, because in a day, 1 toilet roll can get finished. And I remember my husband was so shocked one day when he came to the bathroom and all the toilet roll for that week that we took out were almost gone. He said, "Peace, what happened?" And I said, "Your wife is very pregnant." So I told him the number of times I visit the toilet, and I said, "You start counting yourself anytime you see me going to the toilet." You know, so it's not easy, but at the end of the day, I still have to drink a lot of water. And I do drink a lot of water just to keep me fresh. As you can see, it looks like even my skin has improved and I'm looking more fresher because I'm hydrated. So there are some of the symptoms that you just have to push through because it's just part of the pregnancy. The annoying part of the urination is I will feel like my bladder is about to burst. I'll go to the toilet and it's just 1 drop. Literally, the urine is just 1 drop and I'm fine. And sometimes I finish bathing, come out of the bathroom, I get to the bedroom and I feel like weeing again. Just within 1 minute, I feel like weeing again. So I have to go back to the toilet. And then the baby cakes. There are some of the cakes that literally pushes urine down my bladder. So I can literally finish weeing now, come to the room and the baby will kick and I have to run back to the toilet. So it's just interesting, but I believe that, you know, it's just part of the journey and I have to make the most out of it. The only solution I'll probably recommend for the frequent urination is maybe close to bedtime, try not to drink water or drink just little water so that you don't have to wake up too many times to go to the toilet. But if you are like me, sometimes just before going to bed, I feel very thirsty and I have to drink water. Apart from that, across the day, do your best to drink enough water to keep yourself hydrated. It is good for you and the baby. Another carryover symptom from the first trimester is heartburns. And I remember when I was very sick, I called the doctors and I also explained that I was having a lot of heartburns. The doctor recommended that I can get over-the-counter medications like Gaviscon for the heartburns. And she also explained that because the first trimester is very vulnerable and delicate, they try not to recommend any medications at all. So I decided that, you know what, it's better to be safe than sorry. So I didn't go for the heartburn medication at all. I just pushed through the first trimester. But now in the second trimester, things got very worse. I couldn't manage the heartburns at all. So eventually we had to go to the chemist. I got this from Boots. It's called Gaviscon. And they've actually written on it that you can take this product if you are pregnant or breastfeeding. They've actually got different ones. So when you go to the chemist, ensure that you are picking or buying the one that is for pregnant women, or ask the chemists what they recommend for pregnant women in terms of heartburns. Apart from Gaviscon or any heartburn medication out there which is recommended for pregnant women, make sure that you avoid spicy and oily foods. Okay, and also eat smaller portions of food to help you to reduce the rate of the heartburn. I will also recommend that any medication that you put into your body at any stage of the pregnancy, ensure that you have spoken to your midwife about it. Ensure that it is safe for you and your baby. The last but one symptom of the second trimester is loud hiccups. And this normally would happen after eating, especially when I'm very, very full. I'll start having those hiccups. Like that. And it's so loud and annoying. Oh, God help me. That one, I think the only solution is try not to be too full when you eat. Okay, smaller portions across the day would also help, I believe, in that one. The final one is, I don't know whether I should call it symptom. It's not really a symptom, but it can be annoying. And that one is the baby movement. Okay, the baby movement is fantastic because it helps me to bond with the baby. In fact, when I don't feel her move, because I know her pattern now, and so when for some time I can't feel her, I'm like, oh, I miss you, baby. Are you there? Move. And I'll do something to make her move. Okay, but some of the movements are painful. There's been a number of times that I'll be lying down and the cakes will be so sharp that I will scream. You know, there was a day that she gave me this heavy cake and I was angry. I said, why? What's the problem? What did I do? And then I remember that she's only a baby. She doesn't know what she's doing anyway. I just said, you know what, don't worry, feel free. Mommy is okay. You know, so that one is just, as the baby is growing, you're going to experience some of the cakes that are harder. Some of them feels nice, some of them are going to be harder. And like I said before, there are some of the cakes that actually pushes urine down into my bladder and I have to rush to the toilet and wee. So yeah, I think these are all parts of the journey. It makes the journey nice and memorable. So enjoy it as much as you can. Right. So overall, I think that the second trimester is much better because there is no really sickness per se that will make me lie in bed and not be able to do anything. However, it also comes with its own challenges, and depending on your capacity, you may think that maybe the second trimester is difficult, especially with some of the symptoms that I've mentioned, like the waist pain, which now makes me walk as if I'm an old woman and my waist becomes locked and I'm having pain in my hip. All of this can make the second trimester difficult, but overall I think that in terms of the energy level, it is much better. I have been able to cook almost every month. The number of times that I could have cooked in a month, I've been able to do that. Our sexual life has almost come back to normal, because in the first trimester, sex was just, it just flew out of the window. And I'm able to exercise. At least I'm able to go out and do a few walking and come back, which in the first trimester I couldn't do at all. Yeah, and also cravings. The cravings kicked in, but I'm not going to touch on all of this in this episode. Hopefully I will come up with a separate video on exercise during pregnancy, sex during pregnancy, and cravings, and any other stuff that I will later encounter in this journey. I'll come up and share with you guys, so watch out for those videos. This will bring us to the end of this episode. If you are pregnant, how has your second trimester been so far? What are your experiences? What are some of the carryover symptoms from the first trimester, or the new symptoms that occurred How are you handling them? Please leave a comment for me. I would really like to hear from you. And if you are single, I would like to hear from you. How is this pregnancy series helping you? Put that in the comment box for me. And God bless you for taking time to watch my videos. Please subscribe to my Facebook page and this YouTube channel, Married with a Life. If you are single, you can follow us at Single with a Life on Facebook and on YouTube. If you want to join the marriage preparation classes that my husband and I organize on Zoom as a single or young couple, or maybe you just want to better your understanding on marriage, you can also register by contacting us on WhatsApp. The number is below. Or you can visit our Facebook page, Turning Point Coaching Services. Register for the modules there, or contact us, leave a message there, and we will get in touch with you. Have an amazing week and hope to see you next time. Bye.